Hello students, this is Chef Sundar Srinivasan from AI FSMS College of Hotel Management and Catering Technology, Pune. In this session of Food Safety Management Systems, we will be going through the role of management or the role of top management. The first point we would go through is management review. Management review is a periodic reference that the management requires on what is happening in the organization, their FSMS or the food safety management system. They shall review the organization's food safety system at planned intervals to ensure its continuing suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness, which means that at fixed intervals, they need to have a review of their system. They need to look into their system, whether everything is functioning as planned or not. This review shall include assessing opportunities for improvement and the need for change to the food safety management system, including food safety policy. So they go into every aspect of their system. They assess all their documented procedures, records, and all planned systems that they are having. And it should also include their food safety policy, which has to be reviewed again to ensure it is in line with what they are focusing upon. They shall also maintain, they shall also review the records of management. They need to review whether the records that are being maintained are in the right way or not, whether they are under control or not. As we saw in the previous session, where control of records and documents is involved, they need to ensure everything is under control. Now, for this management review, they require certain inputs every time they have the management review going on. So the input to management review shall include, but not limited to, follow-up actions from the previous management reviews, which means that whatever decisions that need acted upon in the previous management review meeting, has it been acted upon? Has it been reviewed? Has that decision been taken into action? So this has to be checked by in the review, basically. Analysis of results for verification activities. They need to analyze all the results that have been received during the review, during the audit that has happened. They need to ensure and go through all the results of various data that would be collected during the audit process. Changing circumstances that can affect food safety. So whether there are any changes that are going to be involved or incorporated into the systems need to be taken into consideration. Were there any emergency situations? Were there any accidents that had happened during that particular period? Or were there any withdrawals that were involved? A little serious. So these things are also taken into account in the input. Reviewing results of the system updating activities. So what kind of activities that are being operated upon and the results that are being received for those activities. They need to review those results as well, whether it is right or not and whether it can be updated or not. Review of communication activities, including customer feedback. So this is one of the major things wherein they need to know or they need to get feedback from their customers and what is the kind of feedback that they're getting. Has it to be worked upon? Should there be an action plan developed to address any kind of dissatisfaction that is being identified? So it is very important that you have a good customer feedback. You are able to work upon it. You need to identify if there is any whatever the customer is not feeling good about, whether it can be acted upon and whether the satisfaction index can be raised or not, and an action plan is required for such kind of communication activity. The next part of management review would be the external audits or inspection that have happened previously. What were the results of those audits and what has been implemented after the audit, whether those recommendations that were received, have they been put into action or not, would be taken up in the input part of the meeting. The second part of management review would be the output. So what is expected after a management review meeting. The output from the management review shall include decisions and actions related to. So basically, after the management review meeting, some kind of decisions or actions or some kind of output is there which needs to be taken into account. So assurance of food safety, whether the organization is confirmed or are they assuring that yes, their food safety is being taken care of, absolutely sure on their progress in their systems and operations. Second would be improvement of the effectiveness of the food safety management system. Is there any improvement, and if there is it effective enough so that your food safety management system is in good progress? Then resource needs. Are they having enough resources? Whatever resources currently they have, is it satisfying the operations? Is it satisfying the output results that is being obtained? Revision of the organization's food safety policy and related objectives. If the policy has been reviewed and it has been decided to revise it, similarly the objectives also would be revised. So has this been happening, and if it happens, it has to be conveyed properly. It has to be conveyed down the chain that these revisions have been done or will be done after the management review. We then shift focus to resource management. So the top management also needs to think about the resources that they have and how it is going to be done. So first part, the organization shall provide adequate resources for the establishment, implementation, maintenance, and updating of food safety management system. So we would see what type of resources. So they need to make sure that they have enough resources for the establishment to operate, to implement basically, so that their work does not stop or they don't face any hiccups, to maintain their system and update the system. So all these resources are going to play an important part in the entire operations. The food safety team and the other personnel carrying out activities having an impact on food safety shall be competent and shall have appropriate education, training, skills, and experience. So this is the second type of resource that we generally speak about. Here you talk about competent people. You need to have people who have the right kind of skills, technical knowledge, experience, education. So it should be a combination of different things that is required for an organization. Of course, any organization will not want to have someone who is not skilled for that particular job. Why should they keep him? So they will decide to have competent people who will be right for that particular job or right to perform that particular job or operation. Where the assistance of external expert is required for the development, implementation, operation, or assessment of the food safety management system, records of agreement or contracts defining the responsibility and authority of external experts shall be available. Now, in case you require someone who is an expert in a particular field to be a part of your food safety management system, your organization should have the right kind of agreement with that person or with another agency or organization or a person. A good agreement defining the role of the person should be maintained with the organization. These kind of experts can be hired who can be specific for a particular job that you need to be that you need that person to do upon. Especially for you can have a third party assessing your system. So it would be an unbiased assessing system. So you might have a person who will do this for you. So similarly, you can get these people, but you need to have the correct agreement or contract done with such kind of people. Then the management also has to look into the provision of such kind of resources. So the organization is required to provide adequate resources for establishing, implementing, maintaining, and updating the food safety management system. First one of that is the human resource. So the food safety team and other relevant personnel are required to have appropriate education, training, skills, and experience. As I said earlier, the team that is going to be working, they need to have the right kind of education, the right kind of skills that you require, and good experience as well. And they should be well trained and should be able to provide training for others. That kind of people that you would look for in your food safety team. Competency awareness and training. Now, this is required for your team who is together. The organization is required to identify the competencies of relevant personnel. So, what kind of competence that does that personnel have, and how it can be used into your organization or into the system. Ensure that the personnel have necessary competence. You make sure you provide right kind of training to such kind of people so that they become competent enough for the work that has to be performed. So every time something new comes up, you just can't expect anyone to know about it. You need to provide training. You train that person, get him to the right competence that is required for the work to be done. Evaluate the implementation and effectiveness of training. So once you provide the training, get that person to the right competence or the right kind of job that person has to perform, you need to evaluate whether the competence has, the competence or the training that has been provided, is it successful or not? In short, I would like to say that. So whether that person is able to perform the given task as per the training that is being provided. So you need to evaluate such kind of whatever has been implemented in the training. Ensure that the personnel are aware of the relevance and importance of their activities, including effective communication. So you should be able to make the personnel understand and make them feel that they know what they're supposed to do. They are aware and what kind of role they are going to play. What kind of important role they are going to play in the entire activity or in the management system. They should also be able to maintain records of whatever training that is being provided. So it becomes like an evidence that this person or so and so people have been trained in that particular operations, and they are able to demonstrate that the training that has been provided is effective or not. So that would very easily tell the training records or the tests will easily tell whether that person is competent enough for the job or not. Continuing with human resource, the next part would be the infrastructure. So under infrastructure, the organization shall provide the resources for the establishment and maintenance of the infrastructure needed to implement the requirements of this standard. So the infrastructure should be right. You should have as per the norms it has been done, and you should be able to maintain your infrastructure better as well. So it should include essential buildings, piece of plant and equipment which are necessary to achieve the product conformance must be maintained specifically. So the buildings and workplace, whatever standards and norms are going to be there, of course you need to follow it, and you need to be able to maintain it on a regular basis. The equipments, plant and machinery that you require, the hardware and software that is going to be required is also going to be a part of infrastructure, and support services such as transport and communication is also going to be under your infrastructure. So all these things need to be taken care of by the organization. Continuing with the next part of this is the environment. This is a very important aspect. The organization shall provide the resources for the establishment, management and maintenance of the work environment needed to implement the requirements of this international standard. Basically, what kind of environment you're going to provide, or what kind of environment the management is providing for the employees, for its team in the organization entirely. So basically we break it down into 2-3 parts. Working environment must be managed to achieve a conforming product, such as first is human factors, wherein you bring in safety guidance, safety rules and regulations, guidance on how you're going to follow certain aspects. The ergonomics should be right. The second part is the physical factors, maintenance of hygiene and cleanliness, how much noise is there, vibrations that are going to be there around, right kind of lighting, good and bright lighting, whether there is good enough airflow moving around, and amount of heat. So you see in a kitchen, many times you'll find it is hot, humid. So how is it maintained? How are you going to make sure that this hot air is refreshed, or there is a cool air flowing through the kitchen? And then you have the security. What kind of security these people have when they're working in the organization? So these are some of the work environment related issues that they have to deal with. So with this, we come to end of this particular session. I thank you all once again. Students of AI SSMS College of Hotel Management and Catering Technology, please click on the link given below and attempt the quiz. These are the references that I have used for this particular session. Once again, thank you all and happy learning.